Shalom Aleichem, my dear brothers and sisters. Today I want to talk to you about the hijab, and this video is actually more directed towards our Jewish sisters. This video is especially for you. And what I wanted to say about this is that the way the Jews wear their head covering, the married woman, because it's required according to the Jewish law for a married woman to cover her hair. The way the Jewish women cover their hair is basically they take like a scarf and they put it, on their head and they tie it behind their head. And therefore, it kind of goes around here, and sometimes the ears are visible and the cheeks are exposed and the neck is exposed. And even though, from the perspective of the law, this is maybe, allowed, good enough, I would say, but I would really urge that the best way, I think, to put on the head covering is the way the Muslims do, what they call the hijab. Now, I'm not talking about the face covering, I'm not talking about that. I'm simply talking about the head covering in the style of the Muslims. And the reason for that is because the way they cover their hair is basically they put the scarf, but instead of going to the back, they go down over here and they tie it somehow around where the neck is covered and the cheeks are covered and the ears are covered. And this is better for a few reasons. One reason is because the way, if you just cover the hair, with tying it in the back, basically your neck is exposed. And if, let's say, you have a shirt with a zipper or buttons, that could accidentally get unzipped or unbuttoned. And obviously that would be improper and immodest. But with the way the hijab, the Muslims wear the hijab, is basically they cover their neck, and therefore it's impossible for the neck to get exposed. Or for the chest. That's one reason. Second reason is that the way the Jewish women currently usually wear their head covering is tying in the back. The problem with that is that if somebody pulls on the back of it or somehow it gets pulled, it will slip right off, and therefore your hair will be exposed. But the way the Muslims do it, since they bring it down here and they tie it, it's really very hard or maybe impossible to pull it off, And so this is the second reason why I think that the hijab is really the superior way to cover the hair. Now, I know that what some of you are thinking, but how can we learn from the non-Jews? Isn't this like assimilation, adopting somebody else's clothing? Well, first of all, to counter that, I will say that this is not a non-Jewish practice. In fact, I believe that this was the Jewish practice until actually recently. For example, I'm not even talking about the Jews in the Middle Eastern countries. The Jews in the Middle Eastern countries always wore this, even until today. You see the Yemenite Jews coming back to Israel, right? You see them wear the hijab exactly the same way as the Muslims do. So, you cannot claim that this is not a Jewish custom, because many of the Jews wore this way, covered their hair this way. However, but even talking about the non-Middle Eastern Jews, maybe the European Jews, I really believe if you look in the old photos or old paintings, the way the Jewish women used to dress, even in Europe, they wore this hijab in the style of the Muslims. In fact, not even Jews, not only Jews, even the Christians used to wear it that way. Look at the nuns, for example. The nuns pretty much wear it almost the same way. And in fact, I'll show you a picture of my great-great-grandmother. She was Jewish, both her and her husband. And look at the way she's dressed. Look at the way. Isn't this a hijab? Doesn't this look exactly like a hijab? This looks exactly that. In fact, the way they used to, my great-grandmother, and from what I heard from my grandparents, is the way that she used to dress. She used to have two coverings. One inside, where the hair is covered, and over that regular one, another covering to make sure that no hair is exposed. And this is one counter argument. So this is not a not-Jewish custom. I think this is a Jewish custom which unfortunately some of the Jews have lost. Now, I'm not saying all the Jews lost it. There are, in fact, Jews that cover their hair exactly the same way as the Muslims do. This group, for example, is called Lev Tahor. That's one group. And then there's another group in Bet Shemesh in Israel and in Sfat where they, cover their hair. I don't know what they're called, if there's even a name, but they're, Orthodox Jews. The women cover their hair completely, and some even cover their faces, which I'm not even talking about, but some Jews even cover their faces. So it's right now, I think it's hard to say that this is not a Jewish custom, and therefore we, cannot follow it. However, I'll give you another claim, and another claim is that when it comes to good things, even if these good things are done by non-Jews, I see absolutely nothing wrong with adopting them and doing them. In fact, we can see this in the Gemara, the Talmud. The Talmud gives us two examples. The Talmud says in the Avodah Zarah, page 24a, it gives us an example how a non-Jew respected his father. His name was Dama ben Natina, Dama the son of Natina. And he respected his father to great extent. And the Talmud says we can learn from him. So here we see that we can learn from non-Jews when it comes to good things. Good things, what I mean by good things, things that are in line with the Torah. The Torah tells us to respect our parents, and therefore if non-Jews do certain things where the respect for the parents is superior, we should learn from that. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'll give you another example. This is more related to actually what I'm saying, I think. The Talmud in the Moed Katan 24a, it's interesting that, God sometimes gives us certain hints, but it's interesting that both of these sources are on the same page and even on the same side of the page, but from different volumes. One is the Avodah Zarah and another one is Moed Katan. But anyways, so in the Talmud of Moed Katan 24a, the first side of the page, it says that the way Jews are supposed to wear their talit, which is like a prayer shawl that we wear in the mornings, is in the style of the Ishmaelites, meaning in the style of the Arabs. So here is another case where the Talmud learns the way certain things, the way the clothing, meaning the talit, is supposed to be worn for the Jews, is in the way of the Ishmaelites, of the Arabs. And therefore, I see absolutely nothing wrong with Jews adopting a custom that is in line with the Torah and that is superior to the way the Jews do. And so I really hope that you will take this to the heart. And I know that this is hard. I personally heard from somebody that, she said that, I agree that this is the best way to cover yourself up. But since nobody does it among the Jews, it's a different style. It's really hard to be like a white raven, white raven. I mean, everybody's doing one thing, and then you're going to stand out, and it's really hard. And I agree, it could be hard, but you got to remember that the harder things are, the more reward Hashem is going to give you. And not only that, if you start this trend, you begin to wear. You begin to cover your hair the appropriate way. You begin to start this trend, and somebody may follow, and then somebody else may follow. You will receive all the schuyot of all the other women that will follow you, and that will adopt the correct custom, and they will follow you. You will receive all the merit that for their performance as well, and Hashem will bless you. And I really hope that our Jewish sisters will take this to the heart. Thank you for watching.